Okay, on this one, I'm going to demonstrate the normal balance of the account, which I've kind of talked about in the previous video. So this should be real quick, just to select the normal balance. Is it a debit or credit balance account? Remember that the normal balance side has to do with where it is on the accounting equation. So cash is on the left side and it's a debit, so it's a debit balance normal account. Wages expense is a debit balance normal account because it decreases something that's found on the left side, on the right side, which is your owner's equity. Accounts payable is a liability, which is found on the credit side or right side of the equation. Owner's drawing decreases your owner's equity, so it has a normal debit balance. Supplies are an asset and have a normal debit balance. Capital is your owner's equity account and it has a normal credit balance. And the last one, equipment, is a normal debit balance because it's an asset on the left side of the equation. Again, draw your T account. There are three types of accounts that are left side accounts: an asset, expenses because of what they do to capital, and drawing because of what it does to capital. There are three types of accounts that we're looking at that are right side or credit balance accounts, and those are liabilities and owner's equity or owner's capital account because they are on the right side of the equation, and then also revenue because it increases your owner's equity. Once you've done that, be sure you always check your work because you can have an opportunity to fix it like I did in the last one before you then submit your assignment. Okay, moving on to number 4. We're going to do some more transactions, adding a few new ones to this one. Very similar to what we did in the last, so this should be pretty familiar to you. Cheryl Hansen, she's starting a business starting May 1st, and we're supposed to analyze these transactions in their T accounts and label each side with the letter of the transaction that was affected and the dollar amount. So the first one, as I said, before you can start a business, you've usually got to come up with some cash. So you invest cash in the business wherever, whether it's a loan or whatever it is. So in this case, we select letter A and it's $3,600. And then we also increase our capital. So letter A, $3,600. We bought equipment for cash. So in transaction B, so we know that that is going to decrease our cash, so we go to B, and it is $500 that we paid for equipment, but we have more equipment, so we're going to add to the asset equipment. In C, we've bought equipment on account this time, so we're going to add to our equipment C. It's an asset, so we're going to add $800, but we did charge it. We didn't pay cash for it, so letter C, we now owe an accounts payable amount of $800. After each transaction, you can look at it and make sure your left side equals your right side. It's a little easier to find those kind of errors and it's easier than finding them at the end and trying to figure out which transaction it occurred in. D, you paid cash on account, so I'm going to go ahead and do D. Paid cash always means that I'm decreasing my cash, and I paid it for on that equipment. I didn't pay the whole amount. I only paid $300 on that amount that I owe, so I go down here and I put D and $300. I owed $800. I'm now paying $300, so of course the balance on that account is $500 that I still owe. And the last one, withdrew cash for personal use, so I'm going to do E, withdrew cash. Remember, the personal use account, or what we call owner's equity drawing account, is what they do to pay themselves for working in the business and so that they can pay their own bills at home. And that was $700. They did not ask us to foot the accounts this time, so check your work. And it's all accurate, so then you would be able to submit your assignment. Okay, we're going to move on to number 5, foot and balance T accounts. So we're going to do some more transactions. The more you do these, the more familiar they will become to you because a lot of them are very repetitive. So you're learning how to analyze those, and it's kind of like playing the piano. The more you practice, the better the better you get at it, and the more easily it comes to you. So the first one, Linda kept, and she invested cash in the business, 7,930. So I'm going to add my cash to the business of 7,930, and I have to increase my capital because it does increase the owner's equity account, 7,930. You bought equipment for cash, so I've paid cash in letter B for equipment, $700 cash, and I have more equipment, so I'll add 700 to that asset by placing it on the debit side. This time I bought equipment on account, so in C I have more equipment, $650, but this time I charged it. I didn't pay cash for it because my cash may be getting kind of low. So C, I have 650 on the credit side. Debit equals the credit. You always want to check that. Then I paid in D for some of that I just had charged. So I go to letter D on the cash because I paid cash out of 360, and it was for on accounts payable, so I'm going to decrease my accounts payable by placing the D there in the amount of 360. I owed 650, and I'll subtract the 360 to owe less money now. And then I withdrew cash for personal use of $815, so that was E. So I go to E, and it's $615, and I credit cash because I took the cash out. We do have that accounting concept that's very important. It's actually 815, so let me fix this down here. It's very important accounting concept to keep personal and business separate, which is why we have the drawing account. Then they want me to foot, so I'm going to go up here. I want to make sure that my calculator's clear so I don't do that again. So I put 700 plus 360 plus 815 and equals. And you want to be very careful when you're adding them together. Check your numbers. You can even look back up here and make sure you didn't make any mistakes with entering any numbers, because I do it sometimes. It's real easy to do. And put your total there of 1875. And then we need to go over here and subtract the 7930 minus the 1875, and that equals 6,055, which goes on the debit side because it's a normal debit balance account. Okay, we had 2 entries in equipment. One time we bought some equipment on account, and one time we paid cash for it. So we put the 700 in there plus the 650, and that equals 1350. Okay, then the next one for accounts payable, as I mentioned, we purchased 650 on account, and then we went back and paid 360 of that. So 650 minus the 360 equals, clear it out again, 650 minus 360 equals 290. Cortana's trying to add it for me. We'll ignore her. Okay, 7930 for capital and 815 for drawing. You don't have to do any footing since there was only one entry there, and check your work. Okay, and when you're sure it's accurate, then you can go on and submit your work.